Hi everyone, I am very happy to bring you this video overview with live swatches of Sephora's brand new Divergent collection. For those of you who don't know, Divergent is a movie that will be released soon this month, and so this is a collection inspired or in collaboration with the release of that movie. There are 3 pieces in this collection, and they should currently be available at the time that this video is published, so I will make sure to put a link in the description box so that you can easily go to where you can purchase any of these items if you are interested in doing so. As always, you can go to allurabeauty.com. I have already posted 2 reviews for 2 of the items, and by the time you see this video might have completed the 3rd review, and each of those reviews includes photographs and swatches, more details about the testing of each of these products, as well as photos of the lip products applied to the lips, not just swatched on the arms. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to make sure to be notified of new videos that get posted, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it or if it helps you out. And as always, in the description box I have a link to the blog sale, as well as sneak peeks to upcoming MAC collections. Alright, let's get to looking at each of these items. Alright, so first up, let's take a look at the multi-piece collector's kit. And this box that it comes in is very large. It is larger than, I would say, a science textbook that you would have at school. It is more than a foot across and is more than 9 inches the other way also. So it comes in this large box here, and on the front is depicted a Ferris wheel. The box opens up like this. On the edge it says Divergent, and as you can see in here there are 4 smaller palettes, 4 lip glosses, and a duo-ended brush. In the lid here you have these pamphlets that slide out, and they each have a different look on them and sort of directions and suggestions for how you should use the items that you find in the box. So all of this together costs $59.50. We'll first take a look at the 3 limited edition eyeshadow palettes. First is the Erudite Eye Palette, which has the shades Choose, Burnt Mahogany, Radiant Initiation, Peaceful Shimmer, and Humble Sheen. Next up is the Dauntless Eye Palette, which has the shades Diverge, Dauntless Ink, Abnegation Stone, Erudite Sapphire, and Serene Vanilla, and the Abnegation Eye Palette, which has the shades Transform, Bold Espresso, Intrepid Moss, Golden Honesty, and Altruistic Almond. As always, I'm going to swatch these shadows over primer, and I apologize for my little boo-boo there, but I can't really do anything about that. I hope it's not too distracting to you. The first color in the Erudite Eye Palette is the shade Choose, which is this shimmering, silvered, light peach shade. Next is Burnt Mahogany, which is a mahogany toned brown with a satin finish. Radiant Initiation, which is a soft taupey sable brown with a satin finish. Peaceful Shimmer, which is a deeper shimmering peach with a copper undertone, and Humble Sheen, which is a pale champagne-y peach with a metallic finish. So there are the colors from the Erudite palette. They all have a very nice formula and great color to them. Even this first shade, which is Choose, even though it is mostly shimmer, it is stunning, and the particles stay together pretty well, so it's not flaky or gritty like some very shimmery powders can be. First up in the Dauntless palette is the shade Diverge, which is a shimmering, frosty, deep olive shade with golden olive shimmer. Next is Dauntless Ink, which is a matte, flat black. Next is Abnegation Stone, which is this metallic plum tinted brown, taupey brown. Erudite Sapphire, which is this blue with a slight sheen to it, and Serene Vanilla, which is a cream color with a satin finish. So there are the shades from the Dauntless palette. The first shade here, Diverge, was more stiff and not as smooth on the skin as the first shade in the previous palette, as was Erudite Sapphire. The pigmentation or the finish is not as smooth and strong, and the formula is on the drier side. But for the rest of them, they have a nice creamy formula and good pigmentation. First from the Abnegation palette is Transform, which is this shimmery silvered shade, mostly again shimmer particles. Next is Bold Espresso, which is this coffee bean brown with a satin finish. Intrepid Moss, which is this hunter or khaki green with a slight frost finish. Golden Honesty, which is a honeyed shimmering gold. And Altruistic, which is a nude with a satin finish. So here are the shades from the Abnegation palette. Again, pretty smooth and pigmented formulas for these shades. So the first colors in each of these palettes has what Sephora calls is a high gloss transforming eyeshadow formula, meaning that you can apply them both dry and wet. When you apply them dry, it's supposed to give a very diamond illusion, shimmery mirror-like effect, and when you apply it wet, it's supposed to be more translucent. So I am going to now go and swatch the three colors side by side with a dampened brush to show you what they look like when applied with the second method. Apparently with the palettes, you see how there's a divide here. You are supposedly supposed to be able to break this apart and then mix and match whichever one you want to put with the rest of the palette. I spent a good few minutes trying to break this apart and sort of warped even one of them, so I'm not going to try that anymore. I'm just letting you know that you're apparently supposed to be able to pull this apart or break it apart. I've had a pretty difficult time doing that, but you are free to try for yourself, and you are supposed to be able to detach it from this palette and pair it up with any other of the three palettes. Okay, so first is the shade Choose, and contrary to the description, instead of being more translucent, this is definitely more apparent in color. It's not only very frosty and shimmery, but it has a more opaque layer of color underneath the shimmer. Next is the shade Diverge, which once again becomes much more opaque and frosty, though it seems like you should probably work in smaller dabbing strokes when you're using these with a damp brush. And third is Transform. Again, a much more solid layer of silver shimmer. Alright, so there you have the three high gloss transforming shadows applied using a damp brush. Here is what the cheek palette looks like. It includes these four shades. So two blushes, Obscure Coral and Misty Rose, and a highlighter, Gleaming Pearl, then a bronzing shade, Intelligent Bronze. For swatching the colors in the cheek palette, I'm going to use the brush that comes in this kit, this side with the angled powder brush. So first is Obscure Coral, which is this medium, very intense coral shade. And the pan has shimmer in it, but it's not as shimmery on the skin as it appears in the pan. Don't really need it, but I'm going to apply a second layer. I'm going to apply 2 layers for each of these shades. This is a beautiful, rich color. Next is Misty Rose, which is a dusty, slightly mauve tinted rose in the pan. This has a matte finish and definitely not as strong in pigmentation. Here's a second layer applied. Picked up more product this time. Then we have Gleaming Pearl, which is this shimmering pearl shade for highlighting. Here's a second layer. This has a duochrome sheen to it, so the shimmer actually flashes pale gold. And last is Intelligent Bronze, which is a goldened tan shade. It definitely has a sheen to it, so you would use this as a bronzing shade and wouldn't be able to use it as a contouring shade. And this has very good pigmentation, so I'm adding very light second layer to it because it doesn't really need any more color. Alright, so here are the 4 cheek colors in this palette. They all have great pigmentation. The weakest one is Misty Rose, but with a second layer it looks very beautiful on the skin because it really sinks in and looks very natural. And I love this duochromed golden finish with a pearl cream base on this illuminator. Here we have the 4 high shine glosses. The shade is Fear Not, Natural Virtue, Supreme Ritual, and Temptation's Choice. Here's Fear Not, which is a rose color with a mauve undertone. Natural Virtue, which is a dusty pink nude. Supreme Ritual is a creamy nude shade. And Temptation's Choice, which is this nude with some rose gold in it and silver shimmer. There are your 3 lip gloss shades, all of them on the translucent side, and this formula has a very apparent peppermint scent and will make the lips tingle, so just keep that in mind if you have sensitive skin. Next up is the multi-piece collector's kit, and this retails for $32.50. The palette comes in this holographic reflective compact, which stays closed through a magnet and has a full-length mirror inside. And I have already fully tested this palette, so please excuse the fact that it doesn't look brand new. The palette includes a gloss in the shade Artistic Mauve, 3 eyeshadows in the shades Candor Lace, Luminous Taupe, and Envious Chocolate. The blush is in the shade Rosy Horizon, and a bronzing shade in Compassionate Copper. First for the eyeshadows is Candor Lace, which is this matte off-white shade. Luminous Taupe, which is this metallic, warm-toned, slightly taupey brown. And Envious Chocolate, which is a matte milk chocolate brown. All 3 of these shades have a nice smooth formula and great pigmentation. Here's the blush in Rosy Horizon. So this is a medium muted rose shade with a nearly matte finish. Here's a second layer applied. And the bronzer in Compassionate Copper. This is a pretty neutral matte, nearly matte bronzing shade. So unlike in the cheek palette that we saw, you could definitely use this color to contour. Alright, so there are the 2 cheek shades from this palette. And here's the gloss in Artistic Mauve, which is a nude mauve-y rose. And that's what that shade looks like. Last up we have the 7-piece nail art kit, which retails for $27.50. You get a total of 6 nail colors. From left to right you have Midnight Calm, Violet Abnegation, Opal Compassion, True Pearl, Neutral Lace, and Evolve. First up is Midnight Calm, which is this deep violet navy blue. And all of these shades needs 2 coats. So I am applying here a second coat. Here's a second coat of Violet Abnegation, which is a slate purple. So it's a very gray-based muted purple. 2 layers of Opal Compassion, which is this holographic purple, gray, and green. So there are your first 3 nail shades. Here's True Pearl, which is this shimmering opalescent color. It sort of flashes duochrome of green and gold. Neutral Lace, which is this creamy, slightly beigey nude. And Evolve, which is basically a clear shade with a lot of violet and silver shimmer particles. And of course you can use either of these two shades or any of the shimmery translucent shades as top coats. So here are the second set of 3 shades. And the nail kit also comes with these water activated tattoos, so you can apply these and cut them up to whatever shape you desire and sort of apply them to the nails as decals. Alright, so there you have a look into Sephora's Divergent Collection. In terms of the collector's palette, which I've already fully reviewed, the shades in there are very beautiful. They set nicely on the skin and they make for a wonderful neutrals palette for the face. The larger multi-piece collector's kit, I like the shadows. I like especially the cheek palette. I think the disappointing part of that kit is the lip glosses. They're just not that unique or exciting. They take so many applications. You have to dip the applicator into the tubes like 5-6 times to get enough product to apply on the lips. And the brush is decent, so I think still, even though the lip glosses I feel like are more of a throwaway, the fact that you get 3 eye palettes, and then a cheek palette for $52 is a pretty good deal still. I hope you enjoyed looking at the items in this collection. Hopefully it helps you decide which of these 3 things, if any of them, you want to purchase. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one.